And welcome back to the WCHE Morning Show. On the line here, we have owner and trainer and co-host of the WCHE program Fresh Perspective, Robyn Achey. She's the owner of Tall Tales Training and Boarding, a first-class facility for your fuzzy friends' training and boarding needs. She brings more than 30 years of animal training experience, and she's with us today to share tips on keeping your pet safe inside and outside in this heat. Good morning, Robyn. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm so glad to be back on the air with you.
Good to hear from you. It's been a little bit, so great to hear your voice here. So a lot of stuff to talk about. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about keeping your pet safe inside and outside in this heat. And the first question I had here, what are some of the most important things to consider during this heat? I know the heat index today is going to be over 100. So as far as pets go, what are some of the most important things to consider here?
Well, I think people forget exactly how dangerous the heat can be to animals. I think perhaps our perspectives on them, since they like to go for walks, especially dogs, they like to romp. I think we put more of an importance on that need than their actual safety need in the heat. So I think the assumption sometimes that people make is that they can handle it better than we can, and in fact they cannot. So if you're getting your dog outside for a potty break, make that quick and short. Even my own dogs had 5 minutes out this morning and were exhausted, and I do mean exhausted. So later in our piece, we'll talk about heat exhaustion and things like that. But I think it's important and essential to remember that we need to take precautions with them. It's the same exact way we need to with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And how can you tell when an animal is too hot, and what are some of the early warning signs?
Well, for instance, this morning, even, an hour or so ago when I had my own out, there was some heavy panting starting, a little bit of drooling, and that's like a 5-minute bathroom break for them. So you're going to look for signs that your pet might be becoming exhausted. There are several stages that lead up to heat stroke. One of them is heat stress, then heat exhaustion, and then heat stroke. So early on in the signs, as the words describe, there's a little bit of stress in the heat, just like we feel. Heavy breathing, a little lethargic in how we move. A dog can start to pant excessively, become very tired. They can start, as it progresses, they can start to show signs of extremely bright red tongue and gums. You can also see them maybe start to develop a wobbly gait. So as it progresses, it gets worse, and it can happen in this heat very, very quickly. So what I recommended to my clients this week was absolutely no walks outside. Take them out for a bathroom break, get them in quickly. If you see these signs, you want to start to get your dog back inside into the air, perhaps under a fan. You can offer fresh water. You have to be sure that it isn't ice water, because ice going into an overheated body can cause more problems physically than you're intending. You want to try to get them either under a fan, into the air conditioning. You can put lightly dampened cloths some parts of their bodies, but you have to be careful not to do extreme measures. I know a lot of people panic and think they need to go into ice baths and things like that, and that is dangerous as well. So the most important thing is to see some early signs, get them out of the heat, offer some cool but not ice cold water. And if you ever for a moment have a doubt about your pet's well-being, you absolutely should consult your veterinarian immediately.
And you talked a little bit earlier when you were saying that, some people may say that if it's okay for me, it's okay for your pet walking your dog. But what are some of the kind of expanding on that a little bit, what are some of the biggest mistakes or assumptions people make caring for their pets in the heat?
I think people, I think they forget to care for them in the heat. And I think it comes from a lack of knowledge, not, I don't feel like it's intending to push things. I think just the lack of knowledge that this weather is really hard on beings outside. I think the mistakes they make are they try to make them take a walk. They try to get the things they know their pet normally wants on an average day. And I was putting the heads up to a bunch of friends yesterday, and one of my friends in particular said, yeah, I took her out for a walk, and about a mile in, I realized we were in trouble. So they sat under the shade. This friend had a bowl of water, a container of water with a collapsible bowl with him. So he was able to offer fresh water, take a break, and walk back. And by the time I heard that, my heart was kind of panicking. A mile in is a very long walk, and I think people just assume they have to go about their daily business and do the normal things. Leaving a dog outside in this weather is dangerous. Taking them on a walk with physical exertion is dangerous. I know a lot of people on the very extreme level can make mistakes like take them in the car for a ride, but then leave them in the car to go shopping. Even with windows cracked, the temperature inside that car is dramatically and dangerously high, and within minutes can kill your dog. So I think people make mistakes thinking they're doing the right thing and forgetting that they need to alter completely what they're doing in this kind of weather.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think on a regular walk, a mile is a lot, but then you add the heat in, and it's just a whole nother level there.
It really is, Eric. And on top of it, you think about things like this, or you have to think about things like this. Their face is really close to the asphalt, and the asphalt and the sidewalk are sending off this big heat wave. They're very hot. So they're not just breathing the hot air that we are. They're breathing the heat coming off of those surfaces. That's so dangerous. On top of that, you have to think about their pads. Yes, they're thicker than our human skin, but their pads are prone to burns from the sidewalk and the asphalt. So if you can't put your hand or your bare foot on that surface, if you put your hand or your foot on that surface and you realize it's too hot for you, it is too hot for them. I think a lot of times when I work with people and animals, I ask them to do what I call a paradigm shift. These aren't just animals that are used to enduring anything. Much the same way I feel, horses are not meant to endure carriage rides and falling things. Just because they can doesn't mean they should. So we have to do a paradigm shift. Animals are not built for endurance in the long run. They're here for our care. So if we see that, and think about this, our pets are wearing a fur coat and we are not. So look at the animal in a different light. Look at them as the being that needs the care that our children or ourselves would. Shift the paradigm. Don't assume that they're going to manage anything. They're very, very prone to all the same things we are. And if I can add something else, the breeds that you want to watch for are the breeds that are, you want to watch for everyone, right? But the most prone and most susceptible to overexhaustion, heat exhaustion, are the short-nosed dogs like pugs, boxers, bulldogs. When they have a very short nose stop, the sinus cavity is different. So they're more prone to it. Small dogs overheat rapidly because their body surface is so small, they'll overheat quickly. Older dogs, senior dogs, cannot handle the heat as well. So older, puppies, smaller, seniors, and white and light-coated dogs are more prone to sunburn as well as skin cancers. So you want to be aware of all those things. And if your dog has a physical challenge or disability, for instance, my 11-year-old lab has pulmonary fibrosis. So on a normal day, a walk can tire her. So just going out for 5 minutes for the bathroom break in the morning, she comes back in panting. I have to get her into an air-conditioned area quickly. So it's very dangerous. We have to realize that this kind of heat is not something we need to tough out, and we just need to be very, very, very aware.
Now, as far as products with the heat, what cooling products are available for inside or outside? Do you just want to give listeners some info there?
Yeah, sure. So if you don't have, central air, which a lot of people don't, and almost going from the extreme heat to central air is a shock on the body too. But if you don't have that, a small fan. I just picked up a tiny fan for my front porch for a stray cat who's living there. $14 for a small fan. Puts out a lot of air. It's wonderful. A big box fan, that's important. You can actually buy cooling mats for dogs and cats. And I was doing like a little bit of a scroll and found cooling mats all over the range of like $60 to $80. But when I really got into my scrolling, I found a cooling mat, a smaller one, but it was $13. A cooling mat is just designed for your pet to lay on top of it, no plug-ins, no ice, and it actually cools the body temp pretty quickly. So I love those for inside and outside. And yes, indeed, Amazon's bringing me one of those for my porch cat today. So we do things to help all the beings that we possibly can, and hold out till any kind of outdoor enjoyment for the evening hours and times where there's a cool breeze. But indoor and outdoor is extremely important to avoid today, but some of those cooling items are really important. You can even do things like there are socks people can buy for plantar fasciitis that you put in the freezer, and so they have cooling pads in them, and you can freeze a couple of those, bring them out, put them on your dog. You can have a cooled down washcloth for drying off putting on areas of your dog to cool body temp. And the most important thing is just if you think you have an emergency, don't try to doctor at home. Get to a veterinarian. You don't want to do the wrong thing if you're in a crisis.
And then the last question I had, and then I want to give a plug to your business as well, but the last question I had, so you talked a little bit earlier about going to the vet. So when does someone know to go to the vet in these cases? Well, I always feel like if you don't know what you're dealing with, you go to the vet. They would rather have you come in and help you than have you wait too long. Especially, if you call ahead and you're telling them what you see, they'll give you great counsel on the phone. I'll use my own dog as an example this morning. I watched her make a very quick bathroom break, back off onto the porch to lay down. I saw my other two needed more time. She started to pant heavily, and that was within like 4 minutes. I took her inside, went out, and got the others and brought them back in. When it gets past the heavy panting and you see some drooling and possibly staggering, the staggering and vomiting and diarrhea mean your dog is in crisis. Get there now. Your goal is really to avoid those stages. And with heat stroke, heat exhaustion, heat stress, the ones that are less dangerous but will lead into heat stroke, you can even take your dog's temperature. There are temperature, they're not even called thermometers anymore. They're devices where you put shine a light on your dog's inner ear, and you can actually read a temperature, your dog's core temperature with that. If you know your temperature is under 104, but they're exhibiting signs of stress, try to cool them down. If it reaches 103 to 104, you're in a danger zone and you really need to get to a vet quickly. So right up into 103, you can manage it. So if you don't have anything that gauges your dog's temperature, look for the other symptoms and signs. Heavy panting, bright red gums. They'll go into drooling, maybe some unstable gait. They'll lay down, they'll look fatigued, which is what it's, exhaustion, heat exhaustion. But when it starts to become looking like seizures or stumbling into they're disoriented, that's a dangerous place. So I always advise people, if you're going into some signs that you don't like, go inside quickly, call your vet, tell them what you're seeing, possibly get your dog in the car and get them on the ready. I'm a real fan of be proactive, do it sooner than later. Minutes are everything when it comes to heat stroke, because heat stroke is actually an internal temperature that is so high the organs can start to fail. So that's where you get really into the fatal zone. And Robyn, we really appreciate your time and the helpful information here. As you wrap up, did you want to give a plug to Tall Tales Training?
Well, I love my business. I've been doing it for 30 years, and what I love most is helping people understand things they don't already understand, creating great relationships with their pets, because that's what training is about. It's not about a series of commands. It's about a relationship with your dog. You want to transcend the training commands, create relationship through communication. And I think I base it on everything that we want for great communication with our people, our friends, our family, spouses. It's all good communication and understanding. So my passion is in all animal aspects, from wild animals in nature to our pets, is helping people understand better what they may not and helping them create deeper relationships.
Great. Thank you so much, Robyn. We appreciate your time this morning, and thanks again for the helpful tips here.
Oh, I hope it was helpful. I enjoyed it, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to hear from you.
You too. Take good care.
You as well. Thank you.